Hi, this is Randy from Friday's Golf, and welcome to yet another edition of Over Easy. I want to thank everyone who participates in this segment, who asks questions, and really makes this show possible. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. But before we start with the questions, I do want to say that Over Easy really is whatever it is you want it to be. So I read the comment section below. If there's something down there that says, hey, I want the episode to be about this, and there's enough feedback and following behind it, that's what the next segment's going to be about. But until then, I'll answer more golf questions. 10 minutes on the timer. Go. Stin DeShepper. All Callaway pros that play MBs still play the Razor MBs and none Apex MBs. Do you know why this is? Yeah, pros are finicky when it comes to changing their sets. When they find a set that works, typically they'll stay with that set until the manufacturer stops making it for them. And there's not really a whole lot of gap between 1 year to the next for blades or muscleback irons, so there's really not a whole lot of incentive for them to change. I'm sure they try them, but if they perform similarly or as well, they're not typically going to change just because they're comfortable with what they have, would be my guess. Peter Maxey. I have a driver that has been played for about 6 years, 50 rounds a year. I also have a friend who has played a driver for a few years, 50 rounds a year. Is it possible that graphite shafts get loose over time and lose their stiffness? Both of us were commenting the other day that we have not changed our swings, but notice our normal shot shape has become a fade instead of a draw. Yes, it is possible because like everything on planet Earth, it deteriorates. Eventually they'll start to wear out. Now with the graphite shafts, sometimes what will happen is you'll put them in the trunk and you'll put another bag on top of them, or you'll throw your shoes on top of them, and sometimes they'll get hairline cracks in them. But in this case, with it being 6 years old, chances are is the club head itself is probably starting to warp and wear out. So I would definitely try out some new technology, try out a new driver. I think you'll see a little bit better performance because there's probably some advantages that you're missing out on technologically out there with the driver. So give it a shot. Ray Baker. I love my Mizunos, but I'm going to Callaway combo set and want your opinion on Project X versus KBS C taper versus KBS Tour 120. I had the Tour fitting for my Mizunos, but it came back with 6.0 Project X, Tour 120, and Dynamic Gold. I left my 5.5 Project X and went to KBS in the 54s and hated them. Well, opinion on Project X, KBS C taper, KBS C 120. Well, interesting fact, Project X was actually made by a gentleman named Kim Braley. And if you've never heard of Kim Braley, he also started another company with his initials called Kim Braley Shafts, KBS. So the manufacturer and guy who patented Project X and the technology in that actually started his own company in KBS. And if you believe in innovation, you could say that KBS is the next step from Project X. But having said that, they perform similarly to one another. They have the same kind of ideals. It's all about low launch, low spin, but they want to flatten the ball flight and not let it balloon on you. But they do feel completely different from one another. I've always, for some reason, liked the way the Project X shafts felt better than the KBS, especially in the C taper. Now, in the Tour 120s, I would compare those, to the Dynamic Gold, S300, X100, whatever you play in that. But I'm really going to base that on the numbers for you. You're going to have to see which shafts perform best for you, but also incorporate how they feel to you. And I'll leave that up to you. But they're all good performing shafts, so I don't think you can really go wrong. Just whichever one you hit best. Terry Bergen. Do you have golf societies in the U.S. like we do in the U.K.? There are groups of players based on clubs, all sorts of clubs, not just golf, like pubs, workplaces, political group, charity, etc. Or do they travel to different courses around the country and abroad, range from 12 to 60 players? No, we don't. I mean, not that I know of. At least where I live, we don't have any associations that are, or societies that are, that work like that. What we have in Fort Wayne is we have a golf association for amateur golfers, and basically what it is you pay a membership fee into, and they have like 10 tournaments throughout the year in the summertime, and it's actually very competitive. It's very fun, and there's a lot of good positive vibe around that with players coming out and participating, and it's a blast. But we don't really travel around at all and play outside of the country or anything like that, but it sounds fun. I'm sure there's some that exist, I just don't know of any. That's good to know. Wants to know, what happens to all the clubs you don't sell? Is there a warehouse full of jet speed drivers somewhere? Probably. I don't know. I mean, what happens on our end is when a club gets closed out, typically we'll send them back to the manufacturer and they will replace those with new current models. And in that circumstance, I imagine that company takes those drivers and then sends them outside the country to places where maybe golf equipment isn't as abundant, and then remarket them there, would be my analysis. Keenan Morrow Golf. If you could be a top-tier putter, the best with distance control, the best with ball striking, or never miss a fairway, which one would you choose and why? Putting. And I wouldn't hesitate for an instance, because it doesn't matter how well you strike the ball. It doesn't matter how good your distance control is. All of that is irrelevant if you can't make the putt. And we've all missed 5-foot birdie putts, but if I was a top-tier putter and you're talking about a guy that, makes 90% of his putts inside 10 feet and makes a good percentage outside of that, I would take that all day, because that is much more valuable to me than any kind of ball striking or hitting fairways, or even greens for that matter. So there you go. Jason Schemler. I am 6'4" with a wrist to floor measurement of 37 inches. I prefer 33-inch putter because it's shorter and forces me to be over the ball. I've been told you should use a 35 or a 36 inch by my pro. The putter length is a personal preference. Should I be using a longer putter just based on measurements? Love the videos. Can't wait for the course vlog. Cool. But yes, it's mostly personal preference. I can tell you that you should never let someone else tell you how to putt as far as your posture is concerned. Now, you can work on techniques and everything like that, but it's really about getting yourself into a comfortable position that you can recreate every single time you go out and play. Because if you have someone start to build you a posture, chances are that after you get into the round, you're going to start to change that posture back to what you felt comfortable with in the first place. So yeah, get yourself lined up and into a posture, and then fit the putter to that posture. And if it's 33 inches, it's 33 inches. If it's 6 inches, it's 36 inches. But make sure that you stay true to your own muscle memory there, because it will help you in the long run. Jonathan Carharlios. What is your opinion on the luxury golf brands like PXG and what Titleist is doing with their C16 range? Do you think the price is actually worth it? I actually addressed this in last week's episode, and I thought I did a good job of not getting too fired up about it, because it does anger me to a certain extent, because my whole ideology and belief is I want to grow the game. I want to make it more accessible to more people, and if you think about it, it's not, and it's unfortunate, because unlike other sports, you can't just go out and buy a golf ball and buy a golf club and go out and just play and have fun. It's not like basketball or soccer, where you can go buy a basketball and go play and do it for free, or buy a soccer ball or football and draw a chalk line on a brick wall and you have a game set up. It just doesn't work like that. So when these companies come out like this and they're charging thousands of dollars for a set of irons, or they're charging $1,000 for a driver, it's ridiculous, and it's the opposite direction that golf needs to go. And it frustrates me on a certain level, because kids see pros wearing this PXG on their hat, and then they want to go play those irons, and then they realize they're $1,400, and it's ridiculous. I'm sorry for ranting, but I get emotional about that. It upsets me to a certain extent. So yeah, it's not worth it. I'll say that. Connor Franta. I have a handicap in the low teens and play Ping G5s and are looking for new irons and any suggestions. Well, if you like the way the Pings perform, look at the new G series. I mean, there's some definite technology gap there that you could, I think, get a little bit better performance and a little more consistency. But if you're not a Ping loyalist, there are plenty of brands out there that you should try. But in that genre, you're talking like the XR, the new XR irons from Callaway are a good option that I think would be in that tier. What other brands do I have here? I can just look around the shop. Yeah, Cobra F6 is going to be a good one. I mean, you're going to have obviously your TaylorMade M2 irons are going to be an option there. What do we have back there? Nike Vapor. It's a good one as well. So you have all different, but the important thing is to go out, try them, and really decide on which ones look, perform, and feel best to you. So I'm out of questions. This has never happened before. Timer's still going. That's crazy. So I'm going to cut the show there. I had 17 seconds left to spare. I'm out of questions, so you guys have to ask more. Put them in the comment section below, and like I said, if you want this show to be anything other than it is right now, by all means, put it down there, and I will read, and I will adapt accordingly. So thanks for watching once again. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video, and until next time, I will see you later.